Well, welcome back. Welcome anew to the Further Faster podcast. I'm Joseph McClendon III, and I will be your host and your guide to do exactly what the name implies, and that is to assist you in going further, faster, in becoming more wealthy. And around here, wealthy means to be healthy, happy, and financially abundant. And so I'm going to start things off by asking you a question. How important is your health to you? Because we, like I said, healthy, happy, and financially abundant, the number one thing in most of our lives should be our health. How important is it to you? Well, we have a rare occasion here today, and that is I have one of my dear friends and somebody that has been helping me for well over 2 decades, maybe 2.5 decades. His name is Brian Bradley, and he's here to talk to you about this thing called your body. So grab a pad and paper, and we'll be right back with Brian Bradley. Well, welcome back again. I'm unbelievably excited. This is actually the second time I've had this amazing man on this show. His name is Brian Bradley, and he is from the Egoscue Institute, or the Egoscue methodology. And I asked earlier how important your health is to you, and the answer should be, it should be the most important thing. And this man has been for, several decades now, assisting people in getting their body right and getting their health right. So Brian, welcome to the show again.
Thanks, Todd. I really appreciate it. This is amazing. Yeah.
Oh, thanks. Thanks for being here. Well, listen, I'm going to start off by saying this again, and I thank you all the time for, you have been, for me, just somebody, the things that you've taught me, like I said, 2.5 decades ago, I still use them to this day. Share with us a little bit about Egoscue, what it is, and what you are.
I got lucky enough to run into Pete Egoscue. It'll be 32 years this year. Like, wow. Coming out of university, you have all these crazy degrees, and you're thinking it's really going to take me to the next level. And you know what degrees are. They're literally toilet paper if you don't put them to use.
Exactly.
But ideally, I ran into a guy who made me think about the body and the mind and the spirit at once and look at it as a whole system. Whereas at the university level, it's, well, your knee hurts. Let's look at the knee. And coming from athletic training, exercise phys, heading toward physical therapy, back in the 80s and 90s, we looked at parts. And I know a lot of that's changed now because Pete and I set out on a mission years ago, 25 years ago, and said, bro, there's only so much of you and I to go here. Let's start pushing this whole body thought process. So I'm proud to say that, I'm working with, mentored by basically the guy that started this whole functional whole body, mission. And Egoscue, and you won't be tested on the spelling nor the pronunciation, but is all based on sit comfortably any way you want. Like even if I was sitting like this, that's comfortable for me. Should my body recover from this position if I spent 8 hours in this? I would hope so. But a lot of people get caught up, and I know you guys listening out there, you get caught up sitting like this, and then the stresses of the day, and I got to become that. I got to go further, faster, right? I got to have attitude. I got to have all this stuff, right? And they're going and going and going, but their body is starting to go the other direction. And then when they stand up, there's no recovery out of this position. And then we think we're being healthier by hopping onto a bicycle in the house, staring at a screen going, time to climb Kilimanjaro. And you went from this position sitting to this position on the bike with no interrupt in between. And that's where Egoscue comes into play. And it's almost like brushing and flossing your teeth. The more you do it, there's that cumulative effect down the road where even if you skip the day, my teeth are still pretty clean. I'm not going to get some kind of abscess in a week. If I skipped a month or two, I might be in some serious trouble, but I pity all of you people around me because I love garlic. And that's a vampire thing, but it's looking at it from the standpoint of the body is built from the ankle to the knee, to the hip, to the shoulder. And it's really that simple. That's who Pete Egoscue is. He figured this stuff out coming out of Vietnam, his own injuries, and then saying, what if the body was just trying to tell me something when I have pain? Versus why is my body failing me or working against me? And it's a different type of question. Right. You're the language guy, which thank you for 30 years. I've been listening to you and Robbins, of course, but you and I have spent a lot of time together, just even hearing the languages, and it's really helped me in speaking to my clients. So they appreciate it.
Yeah, listen, and just so you know, Brian and I have, as he said, we've been traveled all over the world, literally in front of hundreds and hundreds of thousands of people, and you specifically in your own practice at home and out on the road, you're not just at the event to speak when you're speaking. You're out there helping people and adjusting people as well.
To keep them in the event, because sitting is the new smoking. What are they doing during events?
Exactly.
Let's get them to train for sitting.
And which is so great, because what happens when we're at these events is that Brian will come on stage and he'll take a crowd of 16,000 people and put them through their paces. And that's how we keep people, like you said, in the events and keep people moving and keep people active. And so share with us a little bit about, because I know you are an anatomical functionalist,
yes,
and
sir.
you share with us a little bit more about that our body is designed to be ankles over our knees over, and that whole thing, why that's so important.
Absolutely. And a lot of people out there, you could actually start this off by lifting up the shoes that you wear every day and just look at the back of them. Right. Look at them from the heel and see where they're wearing. They should be wearing in the center, and a lot of people are on the outside corner. That alone would tell you that one side is probably a little different than the other. So look, if we had, if this was, again, an event, what do? Hey, stand up, take your shoes off, close your eyes. Where's your balance left to right? I've been doing that for 30 some years, and it never gets old because it's self-reflection.
Exactly.
It's not me going, I'm an expert. Look, I'm really, really good at what I do, but I got lucky. And really why I'm good at what I do is because I really employ active listening. The customer client says, yeah, my hip's been bothering me. I sprained my ankle. Right away, I go to, I wonder how their shoulder compensated for that ankle sprain. Hey, I hurt my foot. I have turf toe playing pickleball. I wonder how your hip added to that, or how it shut off your hip. Because if your ankle hurts, your body doesn't want to push off that foot. The hip starts turning the foot out, and then we treat the foot. No, and then the shoulder's up here going, yeah, something went wrong last year. So as a person who looks at the body from head to toe as an anatomical functionalist through Egoscue, I look at the body as where's it adapting? And I never, Joseph, look at this and say, your posture sucks. I don't ever judge it. I say, look how off your posture is compared to the ideal blueprint, which, you guys can get a hold of me and I can show you that.
Yeah, we're going to make sure they're able to do that as we go.
Ideally, if they deviate from that ideal posture, their body is just trying to get from point A to point B. So if you're out there and you're thinking, my knee's been bothering me for 30 years, or when I get on the Peloton, why am I not getting my PR like I was a year ago? Why am I actually getting fatter? And we're going to spell it PHATTER, not because they're pretty hot and tempting, but because of it's part of the lymphatic word. And once your body's out of position, your lymph system can't move. So you're actually creating more byproducts and getting fatter pH and getting frustrated. And since it's just us girls, we can talk about this, right? I talk to so many women who are so frustrated, but they're putting in the work.
Right. Which across the board, I see that not just women, men as well that are.
Well, women talk about it, men hide.
Oh, listen to you!
Yeah.
Wow! Oh, yeah. And it's the truth. It's like I see it all over the place. People are going, well, I'm doing this, I'm eating right, I'm doing this, I'm running, I'm doing things like that. But the fundamentals, if the fundamentals aren't right, then the rest of the body is going to go accordingly.
Listen, you've been on racetracks before. I do it too. If you're out there in any type of car, I don't care if it's a Toyota Camry or a Porsche 911, let's say GT3, amazing track car. But I'm going to let some air out of your back tire, and I'm going to cause the alignment in the front to go a little bit more internal like this. Right away, you're going, this isn't going to feel right. And eventually the car breaks. So the talent that we have for racing or for fighting or for tennis or for pickleball or Master Co and I, table tennis, right? That kind of stuff.
I was going to talk about that in a little bit.
Yeah,
you're amazing.
Okay, he's amazing. I have to say that. Master Co, you're amazing. Let's just put that out there. But if your body's not ready, then even something like a little ball that weighs a half an ounce and a paddle made of rubber can hurt you because you start arm swinging, Conor McGregor, arm punching versus whole body movement.
Right.
And you being so active, where the movement should generate from. Your son, we talked about that before. Let's get him into crushing people, give him the unfair advantage because he is a hip-driven athlete versus a shoulder-driven athlete.
Right. And all that stuff is so important. And your acuity to be able to notice those things and to point that out, help somebody along that way, that is just stellar.
Well, they like the certainty, right? Like you're a language guy. If I say something to you, you're going, right, if you changed if to when, your customer, oh, wow, Joseph, thank you. I picked that up years ago and I'm like, I don't do if anymore. Right. If does not exist. Right. If you do your exercises, If you have to ask if, just stop listening now. It's when
you do your exercises. Yeah. And just to add some context to that, I guess about maybe a year ago now. Well, no, you know what? Well, it was a little over a year ago now because we were still in the other house before we did this. And my son is a volleyball player. And I'm going to show you when we get finished here, I'll take you back and I'll show you how high he can jump now.
That's awesome.
And so we did a session, which again, we're going to put you in touch with Brian here just a little bit. We did a session and Brian gave him a menu of things. And I can't tell you how unbelievably simple his menu and my menu for the past 2.5 decades has been to do, 15, 20 minutes and maybe sometimes a little bit longer to do this menu of, I'm just going to see, and I hope I'm not insulting you by saying this, stretching and holding my body in a certain position to realign it. My son went from, he jumps easily another 6 inches taller more than he did before, and that's important in volleyball.
First of all, my feelings are hurt, and I'm very upset. You can tell. I don't know if I have feelings anymore. Yeah. Okay, that's why I'm here. Actually, you need me
after this.
Exactly, there'll be a counseling session. But for real, that's why I get so excited about. And I tell my therapist this. I'm like, listen, for those of you with children, if somebody helps your child, what's it like?
Yes.
Oh my gosh, I'll do anything. Well, that is critical because once you let me into your life, I'm like a disease. I'm not going anywhere. I'm in there because if I can talk to you a little bit about nutrition, and I know just enough to be dangerous, right? But if I can talk to you about why I do all the other things, but at the center of everything, I do my simple Egoscue menu. Some days I'll be laying on my back. The other day I got home from our meetings in Park City. I laid down in my backyard with my legs up over a block.
Which is so
and in the sun.
Yeah.
If I'm going to be outside throwing the ball with my dog anyway, I'm going to make him bring it to me in a position that's serving me rather than sitting in a chair and scrolling on my Instagram going, gee, who can I talk to? I'll do that later. But when you're serving yourself, and I really applaud people who can look at it and say, yeah, it's okay to be selfish because without me, and mothers know this.
Yes.
When mothers go down, the family starts to cry. I mean, we know how important that is. So ideally, we got to keep ourselves as functional as possible. And with kids, I think it's really setting up the new generation, your kid, my kid's 21, your kid is how old now?
He's 16.
Okay, 16. They're close enough in where instant gratification in the phone is feeding them everything.
Yeah.
Good and bad.
Where I'm going to say lean towards the bad.
Correct, because they can't, if they get in an argument with somebody, they can't leave and go home and escape it. Now here come the insults and they keep coming.
Yeah.
I trained my kid and myself and everybody else in my family to just go, ignore that stuff because that gift, which was horrible, that gift no longer has the control if you name it a gift. Again, Joseph McClendon knows much more about that and he will take care of you on that. But ideally, that's how I look at pain and limitation. So when we look at your kid, I'm looking at him going, oh my gosh, this kid has no clue right now, but I got to talk to a 15-year-old. I got to use language that he understands. And by the way, every once in a while, it's like, we're going to get your shit together. And all of a sudden it's like, you see his face and I go, yeah, we don't use bad words. So it's okay to do that once in a while because now you're part of their story. And once you can really get them into, and that comes from active listening, active talking, get them involved. I would say that's 50% of my work. The other work is here's the exercises and why you do it.
Right. And I can't tell you express enough how important that is about your ability, your skill set. And I want everybody, that's why you're here, is I want everybody to share in this. He's going to share with you how you can get involved in something that's going to serve you as well. So 2 things I want to say. Number one, that you said it earlier, with the mother going down, and the selfishness. Every time we get on an airplane, which you and I have done for 30 years now, what do they say? Put the mask on you first.
Oh yeah.
Put the mask on you first so you can if you're suffocating or whatever happens up there. I've never had the mask drop, but then you can't help your kids or anybody else around. And you can be sure that if your mask falls down, the pilot's masks are down and on. So they're putting it on.
They went on first.
Yeah, they went on first. Exactly. You want them to. And so the other thing I want to say is this. The simplicity of the exercise with regard to actually what you have to do, versus, even because as I look at, personal trainers, of which I've got several friends that are personal trainers, and you got to get in the gym, you got to do this, you got to do that. And you are more, the things that you share with people they don't have to have a gym or equipment to do. And half the time people, it's like for me, if I'm going to sit down and watch television, I'm going to sit in a position that you've taught me how to do that's going to serve my body as long as I'm sitting there. And it's just the way that I sit naturally now.
Yep.
It's not something I have to force myself to do. As you taught me before, Brian, the body wants to heal itself.
Can you imagine, if you're, everybody out there, just imagine this. If you didn't ever have to think about how you sat, how you stood, how you walked, what shoes are going to serve you and not hurt you. Remember, barefoot is correct.
Yes.
We should be barefoot on little undulated surfaces. That's why, Gordon from A-Line, he would talk about put that thing in there to move the foot around. I'm talking to Vibram five-finger shoes again, and they're talking about, okay, these things around the country, which are going to be amazing to introduce people to. You got to get grounded. Well, good luck with that, because without Egoscue, and you go barefoot right away,
it's going to be,
because your body's not serving you. It's actually trying to find another way around, and your feet are going to take a beating. So our job is to say, for example, a person walks barefoot, and you guys can try this if you're not driving, but you do this at home. Walk across your house barefoot, normal pace, front to back, just like I'm picturing my old house with my parents. From the kitchen door all the way to the back door, which was all on the same floor, boom, boom, boom. That's 3 rooms. Okay, good. I have a good idea what my feet are doing. Then you put your hands, interlace them all the way together, hands up, pull your elbows back, and all of a sudden I can't get my right elbow back as much as the other one. Go ahead, take a walk. And all of a sudden what's changed about your foot strike is, wait, I'm hitting more center. My hip doesn't hurt as much. Should I walk around like this? Well, if you live in LA, that's fine.
Yeah.
But it's, when you live in places that are a little bit more normal, it's not going to happen. So why don't we give you the idea that when you do these exercises, even if it is just something simple where you lay on your back for 20 minutes, you get up and your whole mid-back now is going, I feel like I'm standing like this, but I'm not. And because you're not, that means you can get other things done. Pick up your grandkid, throw the ball with your son, jump with your son, who now looks at his dad and says, I already know my dad is bad ASS, because I don't say bad words.
Yeah, you sure don't.
Exactly. But now he gets to see it. Like, my kid is an amazing D1 athlete. He wants to play some pro soccer when he's older. I'm like, yeah, you're a really good soccer player, but I'm an athlete. And there's a difference, because anything I get in, I can be very good at, because my body in my mid-50s is serving me. And when I'm 70 years young, it's going to serve me again.
Right.
Like, and you guys can hold me to that 15 years from now. We're going to be doing this again, and we're going to talk about it and going, holy cow, my body's still doing what I said it was going to do, because I'm fueling it and aligning it with what the method does.
Thank you for that. And I am evidence of this man's work, because I started working with you, like I said, 2.5 decades ago. Yep. And you gave me a menu. You've given me a couple through time that I do religiously. And I will be 70 years old this year.
Come on, dude.
Yeah, 70 years old. Yep.
70.
Just in a few months. So I started working with you in my late 40s. And
a third of the way through your life. That's great.
And as you pointed out to me then, I remember, and please share with us, because when you talked about, I remember you holding your finger up there and you say, okay, if your back is like this, then these muscles are in stress. You share with us that.
So one thing is like bending over to touch your toes. You can do it in 2 ways. You either move with your back or you move with your hip. And once that pelvis learns how to, what they call hip hinge, so you're hinging to get over, or you're rounding over to get over. Right. And most, I would say, guys, 90% of the people out there, I'm not going to teach you how to bend over. This is simple. It's like teaching you how to breathe. But here's another one. When you cross your hands over like this, and we say, take a 30% larger than normal breath. So if you just sit down like this, so round over and grab your shoulders, and now just stay rounded over like that, like let your back fall. And now just look straight ahead and try to take a 30% larger than normal breath and watch where it comes from. You're going to move you have to elevate your shoulders. You have to kind of move this. Versus if I said, roll your pelvis forward to put an arch in your back, and now do it when you're sitting up like this.
Oh, wow.
Now your diaphragm can work.
I hope you guys are doing this at home. And like you said, if you're driving, maybe not.
Well, if you're in a Tesla, you're fine. Because then you have auto mode and all that stuff and whatever. But
that is, again, evidence of that physiology, the mechanics of the body working. Breathing, which is essential to life.
And you being a musician, you've been around singers and presenters all the time. If they can't breathe, then it's, hey, how are you? What are you doing? What's going on? Versus when you get up here, all of a sudden it's, okay, now I'm commanding this room. and that's very important to, I'll just speak for me, but I know probably for you and definitely for Tony and everybody else, they got to walk in and boom, when I'm walking in, I'm taking over.
Right,
That's all there is to it. And it's not that everybody loves that, but they're going, wow, okay, this guy's certain enough that you put me on a TED Talk, I'm going to create world peace.
Right.
Because it's when I walk in, I'm not asking to be awesome. It's we're gonna listen to you, we're gonna provide for you, and all of a sudden the person's gonna go, okay, wait a minute. Now, and you build that credibility, then it comes down to, now let's talk about what's going on in your life. Why you're making this decision. For example, I had a lady as a client years ago. I had zero chance of getting her out of pain. I mean, none.
Why do you say that?
I found it out on the 7th visit. I'm like, call her Marie. Marie, what's going on? For real. And she's like, what do you mean? I go, my feelings are hurt. Usually by visit 7, we're pretty good. Like, your pain is on its way out and you have a compelling future ahead of you. She said, if your goal is to get me pain free, it's not going to happen. And I'm like, okay, wow, this is that. She just doesn't believe it. Right. That wasn't true. She said, my marriage sucks. And I'm like, okay, I'm not qualified, but keep talking. Right? She said, the only time that my husband ever shows me affection is when I'm in pain. So think about what I'm fighting against.
Exactly.
So my language changed. No longer will you hear, how do you feel? What's going on? How's your pain? It's stay in pain as long as you want, even if it's not there. Do your exercises to be able to help everybody else around you. And so that gave her some freedom to go, oh, okay. And I'm not kidding. 10 years she's been a client. I don't need her for 10 years, but she likes the accountability.
Of course. Yes. And she gets that place where she can go and get that certainty. I'm going to take a short break here in a second. When we come back, I want to dig even deeper, a little bit deeper. And I want you to share with us a little bit about how everybody that's listening and watching, because now we got this crazy new thing that the kids are all using called the internet, and they can do it online. So we'll be right back with Brian Bradley. Hey, what's good? It's me, Joseph McClendon III, and let me get real with you just for a second. Now, you've probably heard me talk about this before, something that I call the thieves of our dreams. Procrastination, hesitation, fear of failure, fear of success, self-doubt, self-loathing, imposter syndrome, and fear of rejection. Well, let me ask you a question. What if you could not only retrain your brain and your nervous system to automatically default to your absolute best thoughts, emotions, and behaviors, but you could also do the same for others that are going through difficult times and challenges in their own lives and things that are stopping them from creating the life of their desires? Well, this is what I call neuroencoding. And at the risk of sounding arrogant, these are the same tools, methods, and strategies in neuroscience that I've used to operate in the upper 5% of all of my own businesses, especially as a coach, a speaker, and a presenter for the last 30 plus years. The Neuroencoding Institute provides you with the knowledge, the tools, and unmatched support to become a certified neuroencoding specialist and guide you to the life of wealthiness. And remember, wealthy means to be healthy, happy, and financially abundant. Go to neuroencoding.com to speak to an enrollment specialist today, and I look forward to serving you at the highest level.
You're enjoying this episode on Angel Phoenix Productions Podcast Network. To explore a complete lineup of quality programs and media production services, head on over to angelphoenix.com or like our Facebook page at facebook.com/Angel Phoenix Productions.
Well, welcome back. I am here with my dear friend and my mentor, Brian Bradley. He's sharing with us a bunch about how we function as human beings, literally how we function, the structure of what we have. So, Brian, let's talk more about, let's go back to the basics. And because one of the greatest things about you, not only is your ability to be able to sense what's going on in your acuity of, like you were saying before, there's other things that are going on and you see things that others don't. Share with us a little bit about maybe some case histories and things like that of people that you had.
Oh, great. I just happen to have my phone with me, yes. But I want to show you this picture. You may know this guy. He was a platinum partner. I've showed this to people, and thank God he had a tattoo. This is a before and after picture that he brought me. And I said to myself, oh my gosh, I can so use this for marketing, blah, blah, blah. I went right to the business side of it, not realizing that his life just changed. And then I quickly came back to, wait, shut up, Brian. This is about him. And celebrate his success. And when you see this picture, I'll hold this up so you guys can see it. We're in a position now where when you look at this picture, his before and after pictures, that's 38 minutes total in the appointment, but 12 minutes difference in exercises. So
explain that. What does that mean?
So he did 12 minutes of exercises, but because my therapist spent time with him, we were BSing a little bit, trying to find out more about him, trying to get buy-in, which took about 38 minutes.
Yeah, this isn't 12 minutes over 12 weeks. This is 12 minutes right then and there.
That was literally the same day. He came back down to me. He was at another event in Coronado and said, I got to show you these pictures because my personal PR is coming as an Ironman triathlete. He's 58 in this picture. You look at the before and afters and you look at this kind of stuff and say, I use it because I want people who are younger to say, if that's a 58-year-old, imagine what I'm going to be like when I do this at 28.
Exactly. If that's a 58-year-old in 12 minutes.
12 minutes.
Imagine what it's going to be like if you do some sort of a consistency.
When you do the consistency.
Yeah. Right? Thank you so much.
Yeah, no,
yes.
but because that's the customer client is going, and they'll still fight it. Well, my case is different. So I've been asked this question, and Pete Egoscue's been asked this question. Have you worked with degenerative hips? The easiest thing to say as a business owner is, absolutely, come in and see me. I'm sure we can help you. Mm-hmm. But instead, that's not personal. Instead of saying what we do, even why I do it, I got to speak to how it affects you. Exactly. So when we go to the how, it's, Pete Egoscue said this perfectly. I've seen thousands upon tens of thousands of degenerative hips, but I haven't seen yours. Ooh. And now you're bringing it back to them. And guys, that's what I'm talking about is, and Joseph knows this, I answer all my own DMs on my Instagram, Facebook Messenger, whatever. If they're legitimate questions, you're getting an answer, exactly. Right? If you want to know how to increase my business, you're getting deleted. So, but how to really answer a potential client's question is taking fear away from them. Mm-hmm. And that's fun.
It is, and it is essential. Show us some more.
Yeah, I'm going to show you this other one. Here's somebody you might know. This is a fighter who was in the Khabib fight. And I'll hold it up on the screen. Yeah. And the Khabib fight was getting crushed, and I was filming it. My son's like, "Why are you stopping the fight?" I said, "Because this is gold for me. Because we're going to get this to his camp so we can make a change. Because this fighter has no idea that his body's basically saying your talent's writing a check, but your body can't cash it."
Exactly.
So when you look at this picture, you're looking at what McGregor went through in the black shorts was in the Khabib fight, and his body was not serving him. And I'll be honest with you, one of the smartest athletes I've ever worked with. Mm-hmm. Because the minute I got to show him and get him to feel it kinesthetically, I was over at the UFC in Vegas. And the green shorts you're now looking at is the cowboy fight. 2 weeks after I got a hold of him, the guy implemented the work and turned it all around by engaging these two muscles specifically. His psoas muscle and his diaphragm were not working together. And if you go back to the Khabib fight, you'll see that he's heaving for air. Well, that hurts, right? Because your body can't come out of it. That
sucks your energy.
It was you and I leaning over like this saying, okay, now take a breath, or even it affects my voice right now if I collapse far enough. Well, we've got to get you to a point where your psoas and your diaphragm, and you can't touch the psoas. Like people say, oh, touch your psoas. If they're touching your psoas, they've already ripped through your abs, but they can push other tissues into it. Right. It's not about stretching the psoas or pushing into it so it lets go. It's your fight or flight muscle. Mm-hmm. So a lot of times if you're doing a lot of fight flight and you're in sympathetic 24/7, that muscle's just sitting there like this. I was up in Park City with Pete Egoscue last week and I was paying attention. I saw these kids swinging on a swing set at this park, and there were 6 of them going as high as possible. I'm like, oh my God, if I wasn't going to be viewed as such a creeper, I would love to go back and get them all on video and say, this is what your kids should be doing. And because I was looking over there, I didn't see what was ahead of me. And it's a little rainy out, and here comes the 90-degree turn that I almost missed. And I swear to God, I felt it right there that I started laughing. I'm like, okay, there's that gut panic. There's that deep psoas fight or flight. And then I turn back around and I go, okay, now let's get into some box breathing, just going, breathe in for 5, breathe out for 5, hold the breath, and all this other stuff, just to give my body a chance to go, the cold water plunge is in here, so I'm not jumping in that. So it's an idea of getting people into a muscle and training it to let go. And let go is that metaphor, and you could jump all over that, is that you got to be able to let go of things. Hey, you suck at what you do, and I don't like your attitude. That's a personal attack if I let it. And I think I've trained my son and some other people just to be able to say, from Pete Egoscue, I learned this years ago, and I know he got it from somewhere else, but he's looking at it going, no, thank you for the gift.
Exactly.
Yeah,
exactly.
that's it.
And that's it. Let it go. Let it go by. And it's so critical, because not only, and we're talking about you're getting that kind of input from somebody else, we give it to ourselves constantly all the time as well. And that keeps you that, and part of anatomically what happens or what happens from our brains focusing and hearing and repeating that over and over in our heads till it becomes our identity. And that, as you talked about, that is a result of all of the cortisol that's constantly being released into our system as 100%. A result of that fear. And saying this is absolutely beautiful. Share with us a little bit about how, because I want people, listen, again, I always appreciate your attention, the gift of your attention and the gift of your trust. And I want you to be able to get something from this as well. And so share with us a little bit about how people can get involved and reap these benefits from what you do.
Absolutely. So we're launching a new website this week, and hopefully everything's 100%. But the egoscue.com is a place they can go. EGOSCUE. You will have to spell it. But
yes, you said in the beginning we didn't have
you
to.
Don't have to. Now I've changed my mind because now you're asking me those questions. COVID was a global killer of people, and it was a global killer of businesses.
Mm-hmm.
We took a position of it's not going to happen because the message is too strong. And now's an even more important time to get in people's faces 24/7.
Yeah.
We had to step up. This is time for you guys to get better. And it was true. Having said that, I haven't changed course. I want to see you in your living room. And honestly, even if you came into one of my clinics in person, I want one of those visits over Zoom because I want to see how you're interacting with the equipment in your living room. So if I say lay down, put your legs up the wall, and you have equipment in this, I'm like, okay, now I just made Joseph's life much harder if I said go into your studio to do this versus go to your hallway, go to your front door, lock it, and put your legs up there. Sure. Give them some examples of things they don't even think about. The connection only gets stronger. I have clinics in Japan and Mexico and say 25 in the US. You can go there. You can also see them Zoom from anywhere. And we also do digital pictures, all that. But I will put it out there because, you're one of my favorite people on earth. Okay. That anybody coming from this segment and this podcast from Joseph, you get a hold of me on Instagram, I'm at least going to take a look and say, let me lead you rather than you going, let me see if there's something out there and I'll make a cold, those are fine. But if you want to make this a little warmer, a little bit more welcome, I will walk you through the process personally. And trust me, I have the time. I make time for connection like this because it's not bothering me. It's a privilege to be able, like you said, it's a privilege for them to listen and thank you for letting us in your lives. But I mean this, it's a way for me to say, if I can make the introduction to you, to my Atlanta crew, if you happen to live in Athens or Atlanta, Georgia or something like that, and I can make the personal one and say, yeah, look, they came from Joseph. They're already in this mindset. My therapist then says, this came from Brian. Okay, this came from Brian. Because if it comes back to me that it wasn't taken care of, then all shit hits the fan. And they know that, but they're so competent and they're so confident in what they do. I never have problems.
Right.
Because the standards across Egoscue, you got to remember, Pete Egoscue is a Marine out of Vietnam. So in his mind, these procedures that are in place have to be in place to make it a one-way in and one-way out. And technology has just allowed us to see you from every angle.
Every angle. Well, listen, we are running out of time. And, I know, and so I got two questions, actually three. Number one, can we do this again? Because there's
Anytime.
so much more.
I love coming up here, and we live so close. This is crazy.
And then number two, I want to thank you for simplifying things for people. Matter of fact, I left a post on Instagram a couple of days ago. There's only 12 notes out of all the music that's played. There's only 12 notes out of all the paintings that have ever been painted. There's only 3 colors, and out of human beings, there's only a set amount of things, a few things that you can show them to do, and that's the point: to do to get a result. That's those examples of 12 minutes, and I've seen things. I've seen people walk and go see you and, out in the hallway and then come back and just go, my life has changed.
Honestly, it's 100%. That's what keeps us going. Is
Exactly.
that very simple. My significance needs a little bit of feed like that once in a while.
You mean you're human?
Yeah, I'm human a little bit. I look at my ADHD and my significance issues as superpowers. Yeah, I'm like, I want to get it to a point where I'll work harder to make you feel better. So will all my therapists. That's why we hire people with significance issues.
Right.
So come and join us because I want to make it so if you feel the need to help people, I want you.
And that's what drives me. That's what drives you and so many of our contemporaries that we do as well. So Brian, thank you. Thank you so much.
I appreciate it.
And again, you can find him at egoscue.com. You'll find all the information will be in the description here so that you have that. And as I always say, remember, your life is exactly what you dare to make it, and fortune favors the bold. And this is a fortune that you must have. You deserve to see how you function at least at your best, at least once in your life. And now is that time to do so. It's simple. It is, again, I'm telling you, I'm evidence of his work, that I've been doing it religiously for 2.5 decades now. I'm probably closer to 3 decades now. And as a result, I get to enjoy a quality of life that a lot of people don't. And so, as I always say, life's always exactly what you dare to make it, and fortune favors the bold. So boldly step up, see this man, and I'll see you at the top.
This podcast was a production of Angel Phoenix Productions. Explore more episodes of this show or other great shows on the Angel Phoenix Podcast Network by visiting angelphoenix.com. The views expressed in this show do not necessarily represent those of Angel Phoenix Productions or its advertisers and may contain language that's unsuitable for younger listeners.